Hey, Dan Cucimillo here with NorCal Sports Network with a video on the San Francisco Giants and Buster Posey. And the question is, what is Buster doing? Before we get into that, let us thank our sponsor. That would be Chapman Law Group. Check them out in the description of this video. And as always, everybody, if you would give this a like and a subscribe, if you haven't already subscribed, we really do appreciate it. Helps our channel grow, all the work we try to put into it. So give it a like and subscribe. Really appreciate that. All right, what's Buster doing? That is the million-dollar question amongst Giants fans and among a lot of baseball observers around Major League Baseball. This is his first year, and he started off with a bang by signing Willy Adames to a 7-year, $182 million deal, and the fans were loving it, feeling like the Giants are back, Farhan's gone, Buster's here, taking over, and, you know, it's party like it's 1999 or whatever that is, but party at Third and King again. The World Series championship era is coming back. Buster's taking over. And you know what? Before we really jump down on Buster and say, what's he doing? It's still relatively early. He has missed out on a lot of guys, but we don't really know what's going on in the mind of Buster Posey and Zach Meneason, the general manager. Do the Giants have a long-term plan to build this thing slowly, and they want to stay under the competitive balance tax of $241 million this year, which they're sitting at around 205 right now, roughly, according to Cott's salary. And if that gives you about 35, 36 million of wiggle room, sounds like Burns would have eaten that up, and they didn't want to go over this year. They're doing everything in their power to stay under. That is very obvious, because if you were looking to go over, you would have went out and signed Burns. You would have signed others. You would have gone out with the idea of competing. So I'm not really sure Buster has the full authority to do really what he wants to do. He definitely doesn't have the authority like the Dodgers or the Mets and Steve Cohen to spend the money, because Greg Johnson sounds like, put a kibosh on them going over at all costs this year. Go back under, reset, maybe they go back over for the 26th season. But the question is, if you're not ready to win in 2025, you have to build something and take steps to get there for 26. And I thought Corbin Burns was that. I don't know if the monkey wrench that was thrown into this whole thing was the opt-out that Burns wanted. It sounds like that may have been an issue. And for that, pretty tough to fault Buster for not giving in, because he held his ground. They don't want guys that are here today, gone tomorrow, trying to build a team and a franchise of players that want to be here, as in Willy Adames and Matt Chapman. So you have those two anchors. You got Elliot Ramos. You got Jung-Hoo Lee. You've got some pieces. You got Bryce Eldridge coming. You got Logan Webb, but you need pitching. And I don't know exactly what the plan is. There is still Jack Flaherty out there. He's not going to cost as much as Burns. You need innings eaters. That's one thing the Giants have to have. They cannot have people pitching 4 or 5 innings at the most in their starts and wearing out your bullpen by August. So I think the plan, if I know what Buster might be doing, is I think he's going to try and sign another starting pitcher, and he may be trying to get another bat. And I don't know if the pitcher will be somebody like a Mike Clevenger or an Andrew Haney or a Jack Flaherty, and then maybe make some trades. There's some trade bait available. You've got some of the younger guys that are not finding way into the lineup, like Marco Luciano, Luis Matos, Casey Schmidt. You have some other people that might be assets to trade, like Grant McCrae, Carson Whisenhunt, Kyle Harrison. There's options out there. Definitely Lamont Wade, Mike Yastrzemski, if I didn't mention them already. So those things could happen, could bring you a starting pitcher, could bring you a bat. But the Giants also need to see what they have in their younger players. They've got to find out, can Tyler Fitzgerald play every day? Can he have close to 600 plate appearances and produce and be productive? How about Casey Schmidt if Fitzgerald doesn't cut it? Can Casey be an everyday second baseman? How about Luis Matos? How about Marco Luciano? You better find out, if you're not going to trade these guys, you better find a way to play them and see if they're part of your future for 2026 and beyond. Because if you don't find out what those guys are worth and if they can play, then you're just decreasing their trade value all the more. So I think Buster may be signaling to Giants fans that they're going to try and do, I wouldn't call it a full rebuild, because you signed Adames and you signed Chapman and you have Jung-Hoo Lee signed and you have Logan Webb signed. I don't think this is a full out rebuild, but it may be a combination of trying to merge some veteran players along with some youngsters and then see what they can do and maybe make some trades along the way. Maybe bring in a pitcher. One prospect out there I would always look to Miami to try and make a trade is, look, you could trade for Sandy Alcantara, who's coming off Tommy John, who's an excellent pitcher, eats up innings. Before his injury, he's a 200-plus inning guy. Team him up with Logan Webb and have a couple of guys that eat up a ton of innings. You might look to trade Alcantara. You could do a trade that I propose, put together. You could put, because they're going to want some value back. Kyle Harrison is one of the most valuable assets the Giants have. Not that I'm, suggesting they trade Harrison to get rid of Harrison. He's a good pitcher potentially. But if you did move to get at Alcantara, Harrison would be somebody that would take Harrison plus more. It'd probably take Harrison, McCrae, Walker Martin, and maybe a Mason Black or another young arm, maybe a Reggie Crawford as well, something like that, to get a Sandy Alcantara. There's options to do like that for the Giants. So there are things they can do. And I would suggest that the Giants do something this offseason to make the team more competitive. Otherwise, you're just signaling, if you leave the team the way it is right now, you're no better than a fourth place team at best. And you'll struggle to be 500 with the current lineup and pitching staff. So we're really not sure exactly what Buster's doing, but my guess is he wants to see some of the youngsters play, see what he has, evaluate that, and then move from there. Now, if you look at the Cots salary for what the Giants have in 26, they are actually going to go down. Right now, they're at projected CBT payroll, competitive balance payroll is $205 million. For 26, it's $143 million, because they're losing quite a bit off the books after the 25 season. Both Rogers brothers will be free agents. Yastrzemski, Wade, Tom Murphy, Wilmer Flores, just to name a few. So the Giants don't have but $143.5 million for their projected payroll for 2026, which will leave them over $100 million to spend, which, if you want to go out and look at free agency in 26, starting pitching, not that great what's out there in 26. If you look at the starting pitching in 26 free agency, it's going to be Montgomery, Buehler, Nick Martinez, Bassett, Giolito, Chris Sale. But you look at the ages of even Framber Valdez will be a free agent at 33. Stroman will be 35 and a half. Frankie Montas almost 34. Cobb almost, be 39. Kodai Senga will be approaching 34. Seth Lugo, 37. Zach Gallen's probably the youngest, 31. And Dylan Cease will be just under 31. So a lot of older pitchers out there next year. And of course, the big ones on the free agency next year, Vladdy Guerrero, if he doesn't sign an extension with Toronto. And of course, Kyle Tucker will be out there if he doesn't sign with Chicago. So not a lot next year. It's kind of cupboard's kind of empty for 2026. So we'll see what the Giants are doing. They're going to have to rebuild, get creative, make some trades, a la like Brian Sabean did when he came on board. 1997, made some great trades, some controversial trades at the time, but turned a 96 season team, Giants team that had lost almost 100 games, and turned them into division winners in 1997 and had 8 straight winning seasons with some creativity, signing the right type of players, getting a nice type of ball club that Brian Sabean and Ned Colletti built. So we'll see what the Giants do, but if they don't do anything, they're not going anywhere this year. I don't think they stop and do nothing. There's a move to be made or two. Let's just hope they're moves not just for a fill in the gap for a year, but they're moves for long term to see what this team looks like. All right, everybody. Thanks again for watching this video. If you would, give it a like and subscribe. Really appreciate you taking the time to watch NorCal Sports Network. Leave your comments below in the comment section. We really appreciate all the comments. We try to get back to those comments as much as possible. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you on the next one.